And joining me now is CBS News Chief Washington correspondent and anchor of Face the Nation, John Dickerson. John, Happy New Year. Thanks for being with us.
Happy New Year to you, Jessica.
I've got to ask you first about this book. Obviously, there's all these gossipy bits in it that people have focused on. But at the end of the day, Michael Wolff is making the assertion that the commander-in-chief, our president, is not capable of doing the job to which he's been elected. What is Washington thinking about all of this?
Well, you've hit on the central point, and it's important to look at that bigger picture, because the individual stories and the back and forth about details, while they illuminate that point, the real central one is whether the president is up for the job. And that's a story that is not new with this book. I mean, and it's you'll remember that the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Senator Corker, Republican from Tennessee, essentially made that claim a couple of months ago in several different ways. And so this has been an open question, again, raised by a senior member of the president's own party, as well as others who have not done it on the record the way Senator Corker did. And so this book fills out that question, or talks about the White House that is whipsawed by the president's impulses, and also where staffers are trying to work to contain him as opposed to carry out his every wish. So that is something the White House has to answer for. Individual cabinet members and so forth will have to talk about. But it's going to be an ongoing, and is an ongoing, question about the president, again, raised not just by an author or by his critics, but also by members of his own party.
And as all of this is going on, there are serious issues that need to be addressed as well, including North Korea, what's going on in Iran. You guys are going to talk about that this weekend as well.
We are. We're going to have the CIA director on the broadcast to talk about what's happening in Iran. Those protests that were the largest protests in Iran since 2009, they look like they've mostly been beaten back at this point, but certainly a threat to the regime there. The U.S. has a number of issues with Iran, so we want to get the latest on that from the CIA director. And then, of course, also what's happening in North Korea. Plus, the U.S. has now cut off funding to Pakistan, saying that the country's not helping the U.S. enough with what the Americans are trying to do in Afghanistan. So there's a lot of hot spots all over the world. We'll talk about some domestic issues with Senator Rand Paul as well. But yeah, no shortage of news again in this week. Never
a shortage of news, John. Thanks so much. We'll see you on Sunday.
Sure thing.
And don't forget, you can watch Face the Nation Sunday morning at 10:30. It airs right here on CBS 3.